so that we have it. Great. I've got my tea, my Appalachian mug this morning. It's still cold. Those of you who aren't in Boone, it's really cold here. We're ready for spring. So the good news, I don't know, did we talk about this yesterday? Is Earth Fair is coming back to Boone for anyone who cares. I'm excited about that. That was exciting to hear yesterday. Okay, well, I'm going to jump on and start. So for those of you that I might know if I saw, but I'm not sure if I do or don't, my name is Susan McCracken. I'm the director of the Career Development Center here on campus. This is my I did a Zoom presentation yesterday, but I didn't actually do it with a presentation. So I'm gonna attempt this and hopefully it'll work. My colleagues on campus helped me get it all organized. I am going to mute all the participants if I can. The chat box should be open and I'll probably just go through this, but if you have questions, just shoot me a chat or put an X by your name in the chat box and I will stop and start over. So let's see we can make this work. Okay, awesome. So last week I actually was reading about some strategies that some companies were putting together, some sort of folks who do consultancy around how to help people with their job search right now. And so it seemed like that would be a great opportunity for us to have for a career meetup. So that's what we're going to talk about this morning. And let's make sure the slideshow works. Okay, so first of all, I thought it might be, whoops, this is what I was afraid of. I don't want it to go automatically. I thought it might be helpful to just share with you a little bit about what the Career Development Center does if you are not familiar with it. I'm just curious, folks who are on the phone, and we have a couple of students, have y'all, if you could just put in the chat box, have you participated in career development events before or not? That would be helpful to know. So the one thing that I've got here is on the left-hand side, I have a little bit of information about what the types of, oh, thank you, JP. If y'all could put your name in the chat box, that would be great. So here on the left, these are the types of services that we provide in the Career Development Center. And this is how we're doing it right now in the world of COVID-19. We are still doing assessments as part of career exploration. You can make an appointment with Michelle Brown and do those online. Every career coach, and two of them are on the call today. Laura Pell started work basically the first day that we all left campus. She started on March 16th, and she's our new career coach for the College of Arts and Sciences. And Jennifer Perry is with us too, and she's the career coach for Health Sciences College. But we are seeing students through Zoom, and you just make that appointment on Handshake. If you have a resume or cover letter you want some feedback on, but you don't want to set up an appointment, you can email that to the career guides. We're doing Career Studio virtually every day, 2 to 4. Career meetups, you already know about it because you're in this one. Big Interview is an awesome online interview practice program we have. You know about Handshake because you found this. We'll talk a little bit about LinkedIn today, but we do have a career meetup on LinkedIn. We do a Mountains of Opportunity email every Wednesday that tells you about job opportunities. And if you are an education major, or if you're interested in working in education, we will do a virtual career fair for education on the 20th and 21st of April. I'm sorry, this little thing keeps wanting to hide. So obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty. That's sort of the understatement of the day, right? We're dealing with this coronavirus pandemic. It's very overwhelming. Many of you students, you were in middle school during the Great Recession of 2008, end of elementary and middle school. That was a lot of uncertainty because the banks were collapsing. And when we're in a time of uncertainty, we can really get overwhelmed. I know last night I felt very overwhelmed. I had not read the news all day. I started reading it. I had someone call me about a family situation who told me about how this virus had come out of a biochemical bioterrorism unit in China. And I'm just like, this is crazy. I don't really know what is true or what's not true. We start to feel a lot of stress. We have self doubt and worry, and that's very normal. And then I think the other thing that is sort of our humanistic, animalistic behavior is, do we fight or do we fly or do we flee? So I want you to kind of think a little bit about what your plans have been, whether you're a first year student or you're a senior and about ready to graduate, or you have an internship plan this summer, is that thinking about, now, do you think this is kind of a Darwinistic time? It's not the strongest of the species that survives, but it's who and what can adapt. If you can adapt to change, you are going to be resilient, and you may not end up exactly where you thought you would end up, but you are not going to curl up and hide in a corner. So, one of the things I'd like you to think about, maybe even just jot down right now, is, what is your plan A? Um, and so, a couple of thoughts I had is, maybe your plan A was you applied for and you were accepted to go work in the Peace Corps, and the Peace Corps just announced that they're pulling all their volunteers back. Maybe your plan A was that you were going to New York this summer to do an internship in the finance world, and suddenly that's not happening because New York is like ground zero for the COVID-19. Maybe your plan A was you had an amazing job doing public relations at a firm in Charlotte, and now you're not sure if that firm, which is pretty small, maybe it's 7 or 8 people, if they're going to be able to keep you on, or if they're going to rescind their offer. And maybe you're a biology major and you were offered a job with the State Department of Environmental Quality, or maybe you have applied for a state government internship program and you haven't heard yet. So those are your plan A's. I get a little emotional thinking about this. So even if your plan A doesn't happen right now, it doesn't mean that it won't happen. You need to keep your dreams and your plans, but you also need to plan for what the backup is. So your plans remain, your goals remain, but the course of how you get there may change a little bit. So let's play out some of those scenarios. Okay, so you applied for the Peace Corps, you were accepted, you were ready to get on a plane come June or July. You're not going anywhere now. Well, what could you do? Maybe you connect with Wine to Water. Maybe you're able to do some remote work with them. That public relations job in Charlotte, yesterday I was on a phone call with some people from rural parts of North Carolina, small local newspapers that are afraid they're going to go under. Maybe you find the Allegheny newspaper or the Watauga Democrat and you try to connect with them and see if there's some opportunities for you to write and do public relations for them. That finance internship in New York City with the apartment that was going to cost you $2,000 a month. Well, guess what? Maybe you get to stay at home and you can go work with a small business administration at your local community college and assist small businesses who are applying for business loans. And that biology plan that you had to work with the Department of Environmental Quality, well, maybe right now what you might do is work with a river keepers program, or perhaps you're able to do some work with a local nonprofit. So everything that you do in your plan B can still prepare you for plan A, as long as you're moving forward and you still keep your eye on what you really want to do long term. So, what are some things that you can do when the world is swirling around you? So, I'm going to talk about some of these individually, but just wanted to kind of put this out here as a framework, that first and foremost, you've got to give yourself a little bit of time. And you need to also accept and recognize that the world is not what you expected and it's not what it was in February. And when it comes back into another form, it won't be what it was in February. Making sure you get good data, listen to your gut, and trust your intuition. And most importantly, connect with others. And we'll talk about each of these a little bit more. So, first of all, you got to take care of yourself. If you aren't able to take care of yourself, you are not going to be able to take care of other people or help others. So, I'm going to repeat what we've been asked to do by the Centers for Disease Control and the governor. Stay at home, wash your hands, don't hang out with friends. It's really, really hard. We're only on day 2, if you're in North Carolina, of our stay at home order. But it's so important to do this. And as someone described to me, it's our social responsibility. Sleep and eat, do your best to stay on a schedule. I heard someone recently say that habits form in 17 days. So those can be good habits, or they could be sleeping till 11 or 11:30 and staying up until 1 or 1:30 and being totally out of your routine. Um, I just checked out last week that University Recreation has an amazing lineup of fitness programs every day. They're like, I think there's a 4:30 ab program today. There's yoga, there's dance. There are all kinds of opportunities and they're free. You don't have to pay a gym membership. You've already paid your student fee, so take advantage of those. I actually signed up for the Koru mindfulness program. I normally don't have time to do that, but the first session is today at 11 o'clock. So, taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and I didn't mention it here, but also mentally. And I think that's that piece about connecting with others that we'll get to in a few minutes. Um, the other thing I think is important to do is to think about what your past successes are. Wherever you are in your journey, again, if you're first year, a senior, a graduate student, you have skills that you've gained. You've probably had some work experiences, volunteerism, coursework, research. And in the Career Development Center, we talk a lot about the career readiness skills, the NACE career competencies, and they're listed here. So I would challenge you to sort of do your own inventory. First of all, if you haven't started a journal, do that. I'm going to switch real quick. And even though I am a person who works in career development, I want to share this with y'all if you can see it. And it's probably backwards. I'm not really sure it's coming through, but it's a journal, the Designing Your Life Workbook. It's a book that some of our career counselors have used in the past with classes that they've taught. And there's some great little prompts in there that would help you think about, okay, digital technology, what are specific experiences or skills that I have in that area? So reflect on those past successes and also reflect on the past challenges that you've had. Yesterday, I was reading online an article about how athletes might be even more prepared to deal with this, because this quote that's here from the from WRAL, and I left the quotes off the other end, is that if you're an athlete, you often, well, you always are preparing for the unknown. You don't know what the other team is going to do. You might get injured. If you're an artist, that's a world of huge unknown. If you're an entrepreneur, you're used to taking risk. If you're an actor, you're used to having lots of rejection. So think about these experiences that you've had, and if you have been able to navigate them, and what those challenges have been, and what the values and sort of what's inside you that has brought you to be able to meet those challenges. Think about the challenges that you've seen your family and friends face and overcome. Again, think about journaling and writing down what are the traits, the characteristics, the actions that they have taken to help them be more resilient. And then really, really deeply spending time thinking about your own experiences. Right now, you have a lot of time to do this, and I hope that you can make time for this, because I think it'll be really valuable long term. So I also think it's important to think about what are new skills that you can develop. Well, right now, as the director of the Career Development Center, I'm getting probably, I don't know, no less than 10 emails a day about somebody who's got some great service that we could pay for that's going to help us be successful in the virtual environment. And we don't have a budget to be able to buy all these things, but a lot of them are giving me little trials, and they're giving opportunities to do some things for free that normally you might have to pay for. So I've just jotted down a couple of things that I have found by looking at some of the clubs and organizations from different departments on campus, or things that I've gotten. There's one here, this live training webinar that's free on how to build a successful career in sports. There's one I got from a research organization about how to do virtual field work. So like if you were an anthropology major, how in the world would you do anthropological field work during this time? Well, this webinar is free. It's normally probably $200 or $300. There are going to be some free courses and things that are out there. Not suggesting that you jump into all of them, but you might want to just explore them. I noticed on the American Psychological Association, they have a particular webinar for students. And then this one I think is so timely for communication, public relations majors. This is a webinar that's being put out by one of their sort of professional associations. Other things you can do. I talked to a student the other day, and he said, you know what, I've got time on my hands, so I'm going to learn Python. Well, why not learn some coding? That might open doors for a whole new field that you had not considered. Community college classes. Sometimes they're short-term ones, long-term ones. You may be now planning to be place-bound this summer. Maybe that's something to look into. As you probably know, all of Appalachian's courses this summer will be online. Research methods. If you are someone who is engaged in student research, this is a time to maybe, I mean, it doesn't sound really exciting. I just took my statistics book from graduate school to the Goodwill, but it means it's there for you. But maybe if you really don't understand some different types of analysis or research methods, this might be that time to really dig into that. A lot of publications are now free, or at least certain parts of them are free. Like the New York Times, all their information about the coronavirus is free. The Chronicle of Higher Education, if you are in education or student affairs, that's the type of work you might want to do, or you want to pursue your doctorate. The Chronicle of Higher Education right now is totally free online. We know there are a million TED Talks. Most of the time, we don't make time to listen to them. The other thing I think that's really, I've been thinking a lot about is think about how you might create almost your own course and use COVID-19 as a case study. So I was talking to a student last week, and he's a finance major, and the stimulus package was just being approved by Congress. And I'm like, okay, not that you want to sit down and read 900 pages, but if you take this time right now to go through what does that stimulus package look like, what are the implications for financial institutions, that's kind of a huge learning experience that you have. I talked to a student yesterday who's a poli-sci major, and we talked about the same thing. What are the policy implications? What are things that will change in our society as a result of this pandemic? So communication, crisis communication, messaging, the politics of this, there are so many lenses to look at this situation. If you haven't joined a professional organization, think about doing that right now. In fact, I would say email them and say, hey, I'm a student. I'm really struggling. Are you willing to reduce the fee for me to join? And we've already talked a little bit advancing your technology skills. For me personally, in the past 3 weeks, I have installed a new modem. I have reconfigured 2 routers. I have figured out how to get the internet on my TV and how to use Zoom. And I'm actually feeling a little bit better about it now. So take advantage of that. Get accurate data. Um, there's a lot of really hard news. I think this morning the New York Times said 6.6 million people have filed for unemployment. There's no denying that this is a very hard time for our economy, but it is not all doom and gloom. So here I've just put some headlines. And again, this is where you have to take time to do your due diligence and find out what's a myth and what is real, and then to figure out what news and what information you're getting and what that means for you personally. So I wanted to share with you this list. This is just a quick little list, and I know it's hard for you to see, but since March 23rd, we have had 183 jobs posted in Handshake, and we've approved 22 employers. So there are people who are still hiring. In fact, we recently heard about a company in Hickory that is a manufacturing company, and they're now manufacturing a type of tubing that is being used in hospitals. So again, stay abreast of Handshake, stay abreast of what's out there so that when the economy does turn and does come back in a field that you are interested in, if you're not a supply chain is obviously hiring, online retail, IT is still an area of growth, and obviously healthcare. But if those are areas that are not your areas, it doesn't mean that you might not be able to still get a job or an internship or some type of experience in an area that you want to work, but in a different type of industry. So I think it's important also to really focus in on what you can control. You can control your attitude. You can wake up every day and feel like it's going to be the worst day ever, and it's only day 3, and we've got to stay at home until April 30th, I think. Or you can be like, okay, today is Thursday, my yoga class is at 5:30 today, and tonight is the night that I'm going to get to order dinner out. So little tiny things suddenly maybe become more important. Again, that journaling. What are your core values? How have your core values changed in the past couple of weeks? You can control how much information you get and where you get your information. And I would really encourage you to do that because it's exhausting. I have a group of people who are texting all the time, and it's like exhausting keeping up. So I turn my phone on airplane mode a good part of the day. I've already talked about a journal. Don't forget what your dreams are. Keep working for those. And not to think just about what the job or career is that you want, but what kind of life do you want? What do you want your life to be like? What's important to you? And right now, this is a time where I think those things that are really important start to emerge in a way that maybe we don't really pay attention to on a daily basis. All right, I'm going to take a sip of my tea right now. Other people. I can't wait. I was thinking about this yesterday. I saw on my walk through Boone, I saw 2 people who work on campus that I don't see all the time. And I kind of thought to myself, like, I want to have a huge party with just people I work with, but don't necessarily see every day, but people I really miss when I don't see them. We need to stay connected for our sanity and our mental health right now more than ever. But this is an opportunity, I think, for you to really connect with others professionally. Informational interviews. That's an opportunity for you to say you want to do an informational interview with me. Susan, how in the world did you get into this work in career development? I'm just kind of curious. I'm interested in that. Can we talk about what your career path was? Maybe there is somebody that you met at one of our career fairs or the internship expo, and now people are busy, but people are busy in a different way. But if you've got that business card and it's somebody that you felt like you connected with and you want to learn more about them, now is that time, I think, to email and say, hey, yeah, we just set up a time for 15 minutes so I can learn a little bit more about the work you do and how you got into that path. LinkedIn is a great opportunity, again, to identify alumni who are working in fields or locations that you're interested in. I would encourage you, if you can, connect with people on LinkedIn, send them an individual message, but if you can get their individual email, I think that's even better. Uh, Update your Handshake profile. If you haven't updated it or you haven't done it, now's the time to get that going. Think about who or connections that you have in your family, people who might be involved in work that you're interested in. Think about people and connections from your faculty. I'm telling you, we all miss you. We really miss our students. Maybe this is the time to just ask your faculty, hey, could I set up 15 minutes each week just to talk to you about class, but also about who you are and what your career path has been? You can build your team. This is the time to really think about where are those supports in your life and your anchors and your rocks, and how are they going to be there for you, and how are they going to be there to connect you to opportunities. So, in summary, I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. This is a really horrible, terrible, no good time. What is that kid's book? I can't even remember now. But it really stinks. It's really hard. It's really tough. We don't look in the news and see any good news at all. So, I think it's important to not sugarcoat that, acknowledge it, and grieve it, and then accept it and move on. I think it's important to recognize that your life, your career choices, what you do during your college years and afterwards is a process. It's not a race. Um, Things come and go. But who is it that you want to be? What type of person do you want to be? What type of life do you want to have? I think those are the things that are really important to focus on. There's no doubt that this experience, I don't feel like I've ever, I can't even imagine what we're living through right now, and we're in it. But this experience is going to prepare you in ways that no course, no job ever could. So again, journaling, reflecting, thinking about that is really important. When the economy rebounds, and even as it is right now, it's going to be different. It's not going to be like it was in February. Some of the companies that came out of the Great Recession include Uber, Airbnb, Venmo, Netflix. The thought of a blockbuster where you would go inside and actually rent video cassettes or CDs to listen to or watch on your TV is completely foreign, and that was not that long ago. But I can't even imagine if those even existed now. They'd definitely be out of business because nobody would be going in and sharing, movies with each other. Um, what is your contribution going to be to that new economy? What ideas do you have? What ways of doing things differently have you already started in your own life? Um, Again, that's part of that dreaming. And then finally, just knowing that we are here for you. Our team has a staff call every morning at 8:30. We took this picture a couple of weeks ago. Everybody isn't on here because some people were calling in. But every single person And this picture is a part of the Career Development Center. We, plus our colleagues in student affairs, which means Dean of Students Office, wellness, student recreation, our partners in academic affairs, our faculty partners, we are all here for you. And we really want to hear from you because we miss you. So I'm gonna flip this back around. You will see my background from a trip I took in Wales last summer. And I'm gonna be quiet here and see if y'all have any questions, thoughts, comments, anything to add, any feedback that you feel like maybe you feel like some things I shared weren't accurate, or maybe some things that you have that you think would make this a better presentation for 2 o'clock today. I'm all ears. So ears and eyes in my chat box. So I'll be quiet now. All right, don't everyone speak at once. So for people who are on the phone, or I'm sorry, online, if you could just put in the chat box, like on a scale of 1 to 5, a 5 meaning that the topic fit what you expected today, and the content that I provided fit what you expected, and a 1 meaning that it wasn't at all what you thought it would be. I would really appreciate that. I'll also be sending you an evaluation at the end of the day. All right. Oh, so thank you from our education person. Keep your eyes out for, first of all, if you're an education major, right now the schools are sort of reeling. I don't know if you are getting ready to graduate or you are, still in your program, but all of these things actually really do apply to you as well. We're going to be doing the 2 virtual education career fairs, one on April 20th, one on April 27th. You do not need to be a senior, so please join us for those. We'll probably do some type of virtual education fair again this summer, because we know right now schools are really a little bit in a tizzy as well, and may not be as focused on hiring for fall now as they normally would be. But you are definitely going to graduate. I'm confident in that. So, all right, well, we'll have this up online. Keep an eye out for other things that we have going on. If by any chance you are joining us and you are someone who had a part-time job and you lost that job, or your hours were cut back because of COVID-19, we'll have a webinar tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock on how to apply for unemployment benefits. So thanks for being here, everybody. And I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.